गिरिवरधारी यशोदानन्दन जय जनरञ्जन यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन जय जनरञ्जन यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस प्रवराजिकाचार्य अष्टोत्तरशत श्री श्रीमद् भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। निताई गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। 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 Hare Krishna, we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 13, verse number 59. Please recite after me. Vidurastu tad ashareyam. Vidurastu tad ashareyam. Nishamya kuru nandana. Nishamya kuru nandana. हर्षशोकयुतस्तस्माद् हर्षशोकयुतस्तस्माद् गणता तीर्थनिषेवकः गणता तीर्थनिषेवकः विदुरस्तु तदाश्चर्यं विदुरस्तु तदाश्चर्यं निशम्य कुरु नन्दन निशम्य कुरु नन्दन हर्षशोकयुतस्तस्माद् हर्षशोकयुतस्तस्माद् गणता तीर्थनिषेवकः विदुरस्तु तदाश्चर्यं निशाम्य कुरु नन्दन हर्षशोकयुतस्तस्माद् गणता तीर्थनिषेवकः
विदुरस्तु तद आश्चर्यं
निशाम्य कुरु नन्दन हर्षशोकयुतस्तस्माद् गणता तीर्थनिषेवकः विदुरस्तु आश्चर्यं निशाम्य कुरु नन्दन हर्षशोकयुतस्तस्माद् गणता तीर्थनिषेवकः विदुरः विदुर also too but tat that incident आश्चर्यम wonderful nishamya seeing Kuru Nandan O son of the Kuru dynasty harsha delight shoka grief yutah affected by tasmat from that place ganta will go away तीर्थ place of pilgrimage nishevakah for being enlivened. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. Vidura being affected with delight and grief will then leave that place of sacred pilgrimage. Purport. Vidura was astonished to see the marvelous departure of his brother Dhritarashtra as a liberated yogi. For in his past life he was much attached to materialism. Of course, it was only due to Vidura that his brother attained the desirable goal of life. Vidura was therefore glad to learn about it, but he was sorry that he could not make his brother turn into a pure devotee. This was not done by Vidura because of Dhritarashtra's being inimical to the Pandavas, who were all devotees of the Lord. An offense at the feet of a Vaishnav is more dangerous than an offense at the lotus feet of the Lord. Vidura was certainly very liberal to bestow mercy upon his brother Dhritarashtra, whose past life was very materialistic. But ultimately, the result of such mercy certainly depended on the will of the Supreme Lord in the present life. Therefore, Dhritarashtra attained liberation only. And after many such liberated states of life can one attain to the stage of devotional service. Vidura was certainly very mortified by the death of his brother and sister-in-law, and the only remedy to mitigate such lamentation was to go out to pilgrimage. Thus Maharaj Yudhishthir had no chance to call back Vidura, his surviving uncle. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sahapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupah Kadam Vahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guruho Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadhavaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamsha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyate Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauratuse Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhu Bhaye Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnebhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Vidura, being affected with delight and grief, will then leave that place of sacred pilgrimage. So as this beautiful chapter is going to end in some, maybe after this, the last shloka, and we learned so beautifully the various lessons which Srila Prabhupada through his purports has emphasized and given for the benefit of all the Vaishnavas. Here we see that Vidura, as Prabhupada mentioned in the purport, that Vidura was both glad and very sorry also. Glad because Dhritarashtra, although a very materialistic person in the previous life, he became a liberated yogi. So if a materialistic person, a relative of ours, becomes a great devotee or a yogi having full control of senses now, so then certainly one becomes astonished and happy. And he was also very sad because he could not elevate him to the highest level. He could not make him a pure devotee of Krishna. That was his sorrow. But the point here that comes out very nicely is that Vidura was astonished and very happy to see Dhritarashtra's advancement. Although in one sense Dhritarashtra is actually the disciple of Vidura. In one sense, because he was always giving good advice to Dhritarashtra to reform his behavior toward the Pandavas and become a good devotee of Krishna. But then he was not able to do that. Dhritarashtra was not willing to accept that thing. But finally, Vidura made a point, and Dhritarashtra turned into a very liberated yogi. So, but here Vidura's one important thing is that he is glorifying Dhritarashtra only, that that you became a liberated yogi. And he is not mentioning his own point. Prabhupada is telling that although because of Vidura only he became a pure devotee, but still Vidura is not very proud of that. Vidura is giving credit to his disciple for becoming a good devotee, as we have seen many times in the pastimes of Srila Prabhupada. Although Srila Prabhupada has told one time that it is me who made you all qualified to receive Krishna's mercy. But at other points, because of humility, Prabhupada used to tell that even if, as in the purports of Dhruv Maharaj, he tells, even if one devotee of ISKCON, my devotee, my disciple becomes a pure devotee, and then he is going back to Godhead, then I, who is a poor soul, will also be taken or considered by the Lord. So, like that he tells, because of his humility. And it is here also mentioned about Vidura because of his humility, and he is seeing all the good qualities now in Dhritarashtra, although he was actually the source of all those good qualities. So we see this quality of envy and this quality of finding the faults in others is actually absent in the characteristics of a pure Vaishnava. So he is non-envious, a pure devotee. But in the Bhagavatam, so many examples comes. So we will today discuss something about this topic of envy and how it actually affects us and what is the cure for this envy. So envy basically means, as in one of the lectures, His Holiness Radhanath Swami was telling that envy means when we try to compete, originally envy, when we try to compete with Krishna, that is the original envy. And we try to take the position of Krishna as an enjoyer, proprietor or controller. Then we become envious of Krishna. And because we become envious of Krishna, then we become envious of everybody else. So, in Bhagavatam 10th canto, there comes the example of this famous demon known as Paundraka. So this Paundraka, because he was the friend of all this party of Shishupal, Dantavakra, Vidurat, Shalva. They were all in one side, and he was the person who observed this also. He knew how Krishna took Rukmini out of that Swayamvar and kidnapped Rukmini, and then how Balramji also killed Rukmi. So he knew all the things, and he became even more and more envious of Krishna from inside. Although he was not able to manifest his envy because he knew the power of Balramji, so he was a little fearful. But one day, what happened, when Balramji was out on a trip to Vrindavan for 2 months, then Paundraka got to know that Krishna is alone in Dwarka now. And he got the courage now to challenge Krishna. So he sent a messenger to Krishna's court, and the messenger came and he was about to read the message. So Prabhupada tells that because of 2 reasons, the Paundraka was able to express his envy that was dormant inside. The first reason is that Balram was out of the town. So he got that courage to actually express his envy. Second, of his bad association. In the purport and translation of this chapter, Prabhupada so many times uses the word foolish, because it was of sheer arrogance that he was sending a letter to Krishna. We will read now what was the letter. So when the messenger came and he, before Krishna, before all the Yadus who were assembled in the court, he read the message that Krishna, you fool, you declare yourself to be Supreme Personality of Godhead. Give up your Sudarshan Chakra, give up your club, conch shell and Gada and everything, because I am Vasudev, I am the original Vasudev, and you are just imitating. So give up all your symbols and take shelter of mine. Otherwise your body will become the shelter of dogs. So like that he tells. And when he read this in the court, all the Yadavas started laughing. Ha 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 ha. Like, kya hai, kaun hai, ye sab bol raha hai. All started laughing. And here Krishna also laughed. But then Krishna he wanted to show, or he wanted to teach a lesson to Paundarka. So he sent back the message that Ullu, oh fool, I am soon going to come in the battlefield, and there I will make you the shelter of the dogs and jackals. So इस मैसेज के साथ कृष्णा ने उसको भेज दिया वापस. And then all the royal members, all the yadus, they were laughing like anything कि क्या इसकी हिम्मत देखो, इसकी हिम्मत देखो. And then the point that comes out very nicely here is that when we try to show our envy to some superior person, we try to express our envy, then actually we become a laughing stock in front of others, especially superiors, because they can understand, अरे ये इतना है नहीं और इतना कूद रहा है. So they laugh, they smile. अरे this person is actually inside envious and he want to express his superior power, but he will not be able to do. So they laugh. And Acharyas tell that Balramji was out. That means when the two things are present, then the envy that is present in our heart becomes manifested outside. First thing is that Balramji was out. When we are not engaged properly in the service of the spiritual master, there is a great probability that the envy that is inside, that will come out in an ugly way. Second, of the bad association. When we are not engaged in Guru service, and second, we are engaged or we are in association with our with bad people. Here Paundarka was with his ministers and everybody, because ministers were giving him ill advice that अरे आप तो असली वासुदेव हैं, ये कृष्ण क्या है, ऐसे नकली चक्कर लेके बैठा है, आपको जाना चाहिए उसको मारने के लिए. So they were pumping him and he was also getting pumped. So here the bad association could be of mind, the bad association could be of the modern gadgets and WhatsApp and everything. So that could be a bad association, and which our envy will become more and more prominent towards Krishna. We'll think that we are more and more enjoyer, and soon the envy will manifest actually. So one time in a local train, there was one devotee who was distributing books, and when he was distributing books, it was jam-packed in Mumbai local, so he was not able to move much. But then he was showing the books. Then he came to a person who was, generally the seat only 3-4 people can sit. This fifth person was also trying to squeeze himself on that seat. और उसका बॉटम का 3-4 इंच ही अंदर था असली में, अब पूरा बाहर ही था वो. And then this devotee told him, प्रभु जी आप बुक्स लेंगे क्या, श्रील प्रभुपाद की बुक्स. And this person was little old in the sense 50-60, and then with a very gracious smile on his face, very gracious smile, as if he want to tease the devotee. He was telling, बेटा जिस योगेश्वर को इस भगवद्गीता में लिखा गया है, वो मैं ही वो योगेश्वर हूँ. सो भक्त को इतना गुस्सा आया, उसके स्टमक में आग लग गई बिल्कुल. बोला क्या ये, he was becoming very angry. And then behind there were some young chaps, young college students, they also heard this and they started laughing. Ha 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 ha. बोलते अंकल, बोलते योगेश्वर अंकल, पहले थोड़ा अपने को खिसकाओ ठीक से, जगह तो लो पहले, बाद में बनना कृष्ण तुम. And they started laughing. So he was telling how these people, those who are envious, when they express their envy, they become a laughing stock in front of others. When we were there in our initial beginning days of Krishna consciousness, there was a festival in Voice in our youth camp, and the festival was happening and Kirtan was led by a very senior devotee, and I think there was a Ram Navami or something, and he has to sing some Ram bhajan which he was not able to properly recite. So then one devotee who was very new, just came to Krishna consciousness, he became excited. Prabhu, I just practiced it 2 days before, can I sing? And the other devotee was telling, Prabhu, अभी senior devotee को गाने दो, अभी आप रहने दीजिए. तो नहीं प्रभु, मैं कर लूँगा असली में, वो नहीं गा पा रहे असली में. And then he, in one sense, he pushed that devotee aside by asking repeatedly, and then he took the mic and started singing. And actually, he also could not sing. He was confused because first time he was singing on the mic and so many devotees, Mridanga, Kartal and everything. So he became a little confused and embarrassed. So when a person who is full of envy tries to express his envy to superiors, actually he becomes just a laughing stock and he will become embarrassed. This was the condition of Paundraka, and finally Krishna killed Paundraka, as we know from the past time. So similar case comes with the Daksha, how he was accusing and blaming and criticizing Shiva, expressing his envy so grossly. He started telling Shiva that you are so ugly creature. You stays in crematorium, such a ugly place, and your parshats, those who are your associates, are also like hobgoblins, ghosts and everything. So you are so dirty actually, Shiva. And he started criticizing Shiva in so many ways, just because Shiva didn't got up to offer him respects. So Daksha, before telling everything, he said, don't think, he was telling to the people around, don't think that I am telling all these things because I am envious of Shiva. It's not that I am envious of Shiva, but I am telling the reality. So this is another effect of envy, that a person, his intelligence becomes bewildered when he is overpowered by envy. And the way he speaks, he thinks he is speaking very intelligently, very truthfully. But actually, this is an overpowering by envy actually. And then he also could not appreciate Lord Shiva's seva, because staying with the hobgoblins and rakshasas and bhutas, so this is all under a seva that is given to Lord Shiva. But he was criticizing Shiva for that. Another very amazing example comes for Shishupal. When Shishupal, he was already envious of, because they were in the same party, Shishupal, Paundraka, as I was telling, Dantavakra. So when Shishupal came to Rajasuya sacrifice, and he could not bear when Sahadev and Bhishma told that Krishna should be worshipped first. Because any such sacrifice, Agra Puja is performed. Agra means first and Puja means worship. So the first person who should be worshipped, Bhishma told, I think Krishna should be worshipped because the Supreme Personality of Godhead like this. And Sahadev very loudly then started claiming, yes, very true, very true. And he started glorifying Krishna. And then everybody also agreed, yes, Krishna should be worshipped. But then Shishupal came there. And he started saying so much bad words to Krishna, that this Krishna, he's a first of all, he's a cowherd, and then he's a very coward person. And then he's a shameless fellow. He doesn't have any caste. Like that he started. He's out of Varnashrama system. And then he told he's not so strong also, and he's not very renounced also. So how he can be worshipped first? He giving Agra Puja to Krishna is like giving the most beautiful woman on the earth to a impotent man. So this cannot be done. And he took out his sword and shield, and he started challenging everybody. What is this? This cannot be done. And then Bhishma was there. Bhima was becoming angry. Sahadev was becoming angry. And Sahadev was about to fight. Then Bhishma told Sahadev to stop. And then he told, there is no need to fight. Don't fight, don't fight. And he told the very famous line that till the time the lion is sleeping, the jackals will cry. When the lion gets up, then everything will be settled. So he didn't. And then hearing this, Shishupal became all the more angry. And he started blaspheming Bhishma also. He's telling Bhishma, you didn't married on the name of the vow that you will be a celibate, but actually you are a eunuch. That's why you cannot marry actually. And then hearing this, Bhima became very angry, and Bhima got up from the seat. And Bhishma then consoled Bhima also, that Bhima, sit down. And hearing this, Shishupal came forward. Shishupal said, what is this Bhima? Let him come. Usko bhi pata chale what happens when a fly enters a fire. And he was boasting and everything. He was telling so many things. And all this was happening, and some people sided Shishupal, some people sided Bhishma and everybody. And there was a fight that was about to happen. And Krishna was worried. Abhi Rajasuya sacrifice hai, अच्छा खासा peaceful चल रहा है, उसमें पूरा दंगा फसाद हो जाएगा. Then Krishna took out his Sudarshan Chakra, released it, and killed Shishupal without even a drop of blood falling on the ground. And the whole matter was settled. But the point here to learn is that Shishupal was so envious of Krishna, and he was so grossly expressing his envy. Chaitanya Charitamrita, we find the example of Gopal Chapal, how he could not bear the greatness of Shiva Thakur. So he put all this abominable paraphernalia in front of his house. So we see that this envy is quite dominant, quite prominent in the heart which want to show that मैं भी कुछ कम नहीं हूँ. I am also a. So he himself, he tells that I am a very big competitor to you. Don't think that I am less than you. There was this king Genghis Khan, Mongolian king Genghis Khan. So generally Mongolians have this mustache downwards. उनकी मूछें ऐसी रहती हैं, ऊंची ऊंची. So this Genghis Khan, when he was conquering everything, so a state nearby, the king there was a Rajput or somebody, and his mooch was like this, completely up, very big moustache. So when Genghis Khan heard this and he saw that, so he sent a letter to that king, अपनी मूछें नीची करो, यहाँ पे मैं राजा हूँ. And the other king became angry, and then a war happened because of mooch. So people, because they're envious, they cannot restrain themselves. वो कभी ना कभी बाहर आई जाती है. There this Miss Amazon contest happened one time, and Miss Amazon, there's Miss World and Miss India, like Miss Amazon. So Amazon called all the people. These ladies came, and one lady, she was very beautiful, and then she came third. But the first lady, she was there, and all the three were given the crowns and everything. So the third lady she was so envious that when the first lady was given crown, as soon as the first crown was given to that lady, this third lady came, और उसका crown पकड़ के फेंक दिया उसने, और उसके मुंह पे एक तमाचा मार दिया, थाड़. And then she was taken, उसको पकड़ के बाउंसर ने उठा के बाहर फेंक दिया. So gross was the envy. Now we may think that कि अरे इतना कैसे, इतना ऐसा कैसे, but actually when the envy burns inside, you may restrict it to some extent because of the external behavior, manipulating and everything, but actually it cannot be subdued till the time we become Krishna conscious. Till the time you understand this, that the powers that I am wanting to display and the powers others are having, they are all property of Krishna. Let us not become envious. Let us become servants of God. Till the time this comes into picture, the people will express their envy. Now let us take a little introspection, that how envy affects us. How we can say that we are affected by envy. So first thing, this we could think, you could think of some things and some from the scriptures. That first thing is that we become unhappy seeing the greatness of others. When we see somebody doing something great, then we become very unhappy. This is the first sign of envy. There was once when we used to play these quizzes. So it was told that, as Maharaj used to say, we are doing book distribution and we should get the maximum score, so that we can inspire others also to do maximum for Srila Prabhupada. So like that, when a quiz was happening and the two devotee sides, they were competing, and so it was told, when you win, you say Haribol, okay. When the other team wins and you lose, then you should say louder Haribol, Haribol, Haribol. But actually they tried, but when they lost, they could not say Haribol. It was not coming out of mouth. Somehow they were told, okay, say. But it was not coming out because it is not natural. Whenever other win and we praise him, it is very unnatural. It's very unnatural to the conditioned soul. So it is very unnatural. So Prabhupada in one of the purports of, I think so, 4th canto, he tells that what is Vaishnava thinking or Vaishnava Vaikuntha atmosphere. So he tells, in Vaikuntha, although the servants apparently compete, but a servant is not proud of his service, and he is very eager to glorify other seva. Although it could be very small, but because he says, Prabhupada says, all the servants are employed with different capacity to serve Krishna, and Krishna takes everybody's services equally. Although physically to a conditioned souls, one service may appear down, one low or high, but for Krishna it is all equal. So understanding this, a devotee appreciates other services, whatever he is rendering, and he is not proud of his own service actually. We see how Duryodhana was. He could not bear seeing Indraprastha. And on that day only, when this incident happened, when he was in the Indraprastha and Yudhishthira and all the members, Krishna was also there. They were sitting there, Bhima. And because the city was such a way designed by Mayadana that so opulent that he could not sometime understand. So when there was a floor, a solid floor, but it appeared like water. So Duryodhana would take his dhoti up, यहाँ से उठा के पाँव से खींच के फिर आगे बढ़ते थे. But then he found अरे तो solid floor है यार. And then after some time he found something solid, but it was water. तो सीधा कूद गया उसके अंदर और पूरा गीला हो गया. And seeing this, all the Bhima ladies, everybody laughed, even Krishna laughed. But Yudhishthira Maharaj ने सबको इशारा किया आंखों से, भाई. But then Krishna ने जैसे सबको देखा, Krishna बोलते. So Krishna, it's mentioned in the translation that Krishna using his eyebrows, he told everybody, चलता है. And Yudhishthira Maharaj using his glances was telling, अरे ऐसा मत करो. But then he became angry. So how he could not also bear seeing the opulences of Yudhishthira Maharaj, Duryodhana. So this may happen. But then on the other side we see Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when he met Shankar Pandit and Damodar Pandit, his brother. When he was glorifying Shankar Pandit so much, and Damodar Pandit hearing his brother's glorification, he was very happy. He was not sad that अरे इतना क्यों glorify कर दिया, मैं भी क्या कम नहीं हूँ. But he was very happy. So this is the devotee's nature. Second thing is that may happen to us is if we may wish that अभी कोई गलती कर दे. We may wish when he is doing everything nicely, इसका कोई तो गलती हो जाए उसकी. For example, somebody is playing very nice mridanga, and the other devotee who is a competitor inside, he feels that अरे यार आज ना इसका हाथ टूट जाए, मतलब something should happen, something wrong he should do, इसकी बीट गलत हो जाए, इसका ये हो जाए. So this is a symptom of envy, we can say. And then third is that in the beginning, when we come to Krishna consciousness, the superiors teach us everything, how to put tilak, how to read, how to hear, and everything. But in 2-3 years, the devotee get to know all the details of, or at least the superficial details of bhakti. Everybody gets to know, भाई ये इतना बोलना है, इस लेक्चर में जाके ये बोलना है, ये स्टोरी है, तो he knows भाई कहाँ जाके क्या बोलना है, कैसे ड्रेस करना है, कैसे प्रेजेंटेशन देनी है. He knows everything. So he feels that now he has become equal to his superiors. So when one time one superior was giving a lecture somewhere, and then some devotee asked some question from the audience, but the superior told, I don't remember that, maybe something was there. And the junior to him, a person, very young neophyte, so he got up. प्रभु जी मैं बताऊँ क्या प्रभु जी, मुझे पता है, आप भूल गए लेकिन मुझे पता है. So in this way he was speaking. So that is a sign of also a subtle form of envy that is inside. So devotee should never feel that I have become advanced. Once you grow, you have taken 4 years to advance in bhakti, then understand that your superior also has grown 4 plus x wherever you are there. So he also has grown internally more. So that way we should be careful. Then the person can develop a cynical attitude, in the sense that when he sees the greatness of other devotees' advancement, something special they are doing, he will say, अरे इसमें क्या बड़ी बात है. This I have seen many times with me also. Somebody, for example, somebody is coming from giving a very nice lecture, and all people are saying, प्रभु क्या lecture दिया आपने, क्या lecture दिया, amazing. और इससे पूछो इस भक्त से, प्रभु ऐसा कुछ खास तो लगा नहीं, मतलब सब ऐसा क्यों बोल रहे हैं, मुझे समझ नहीं आ रहा. A lone person is not feeling, but everybody else is feeling. That means what? He has that little envy inside. That's why he would not appreciate what he has done. One time one devotee came out early in the morning from the bathroom singing, Jai Radha Madhav, where he was singing very loudly. And this other devotee saw him singing. So he became, Prabhu, क्या एक्सटेसी में लग रहे हो प्रभु, आप एक्सटेसी में, हाँ सुबह क्या हो गया आपको, ऐसा आपको तो भाव के सिम्टम लग रहे हैं बहुत. And the other devotee who is envious fellow, he came out, प्रभु क्या ऐसे सुबह गाना गा रहा है, मतलब पेट साफ हो गया इसका, इसलिए इतना खुश लग रहा है, और कोई रीज़न नहीं है इसके पीछे. So like that, he want to demean his position, कि जो भी कर रहा है उसको थोड़ा नीचे दिखाने की कोशिश करते हैं. This is another symptom. And crab mentality. So these crabs, when they are transported from one place to another, जनरली इनके लिए ज़्यादा बड़े बॉक्सेस बनाने की ज़रूरत नहीं पड़ती, एक ही बॉक्स में सब डाल देते हैं, क्योंकि ये किसी को बाहर आने नहीं देते, तो ढक्कन लगाने का खर्चा बच जाता है. सो दिस क्रैब मेंटेलिटी कम्स दैट वन वांट्स टू पुल डाउन. दिस वाज बिफोर ऑल्सो, बट वन वांट्स टू पुल डाउन अनदर पर्सन. लाइक वन टाइम a devotee, he was leading book distribution in a certain group with congregation, and he was doing very nice book distribution. So this devotee, after book distribution marathon was over, So he came to the temple, his name was announced. Then another devotee from another group, he came to him and asked, Prabhu, आपने तो यार इतना बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन कर दिया हैं, तो इतना कैसे कर दिया आपने? तो बोलते प्रभु इज ऑल मर्सी ऑफ प्रभुपाद। वो तो मर्सी ऑफ प्रभुपाद तो है, लेकिन आपने क्या किया? तो बोलते कि ना प्रभु कुछ नहीं, हमारे जो काउंसलर हैं उन्होंने इतनी अच्छी तरह बैलेंस किया, हम हर दिन लगभग 6 घंटा बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन जाते थे। तो क्या बात कर रहे हैं प्रभु जी? मतलब हाँ, हमारे यहाँ कुछ 30-40 भक्त थे, जिसमें से जो बूढ़े लोग थे उनको ये प्रसादम बनाने के लिए पीछे रख दिया जाता था, जो माताएं थी और प्रभु जी से वो जाते थे, और बच्चों का ख्याल भी बूढ़े ही रखते थे पीछे, और ये आगे बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन करके आते थे। तो प्रभु आपने, लगता है प्रभुपाद, देखो प्रभु हमारा मकसद यही है ना कि बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन करना है, हमें अपनी साधना का भी ध्यान रखना है असली में, तो आपने ज़रूर अपने साधना कोटा में कॉम्प्रोमाइज़ किया होगा इस बार। तो नहीं प्रभु, हमारा क्या, काउंसलर ने कितना बैलेंस करवाया। उन्होंने बोला सुबह सबसे पहले सबका जप होना चाहिए, उसके बाद सब हाफ एन आवर कॉमन बुक रीडिंग करेंगे, उसके बाद ही बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन के लिए जाएंगे। तो अच्छा, तो होता है कि हाँ प्रभु आप ज़्यादा ही फेंक रहे हो असली में। तो ही वॉज नॉट एबल टू एक्सेप्ट देयर ग्लोरी, देयर एवरीथिंग, एंड देन एंड ही टोल्ड, लगता है कृष्णा नहीं कराया आपका, कोई बात नहीं कोई बात नहीं। सो इन दिस वे ही वॉज स्पीकिंग, बट देन this is what kind of crab mentality, that he wants to pull him down, he doesn't want to see that कि हाँ इसका कुछ credit भी है इसलिए में। So these are all the symptoms that we can understand from our own behavior and internal things, that really I am envious or I am really appreciating devotees, very happy seeing devotees. So now what is the remedy for that? So envy comes because of many reasons, but basically there is an internal insecurity, that the person is not very happily relishing Krishna consciousness inside. So then he starts seeing others, trying to get that enjoyment from others. Like this one time, this Pakistan and Zimbabwe match was happening. So the Indians reached there. Now what Indians have to do going Pakistan-Zimbabwe match? But then they went there and they were shouting from here, Pakistan, hi, hi, Pakistan, hi, hi. So one devotee, somehow or other he got a free ticket, he was also there. So he asked him, अरे आप अभी तो मतलब यहाँ पे ऐसा क्यों, आप तो इंडियन से बोलते हैं इंडिया नहीं जीतता तो क्या है, पाकिस्तान हारेगा तो खुशी मिलेगी हमें, पाकिस्तान हार है. So this is the lack of security inside, that you want to get that happiness very cheaply, taking the cheap pleasures of this world actually. Then you want to feel your heart. So when a person is very nicely relishing Krishna consciousness, then he would want to, he knows the abundance mentality. He is not, he doesn't fall off scarce in his resources to enjoy Krishna consciousness. So basically 4 things, same as we know, but emphasize again and again. The 4 C's are, first is chanting. So chanting actually is the only remedy for this envy, because chanting will make us understand, if you do it properly, that we are actually servants. So once you are a servant, understanding that I am there for Krishna's pleasure and other devotees are also there for Krishna's pleasure, then how does it matter? In a company, when the boss is served, then the chapadasi, he is also serving boss in certain capacity, and the manager is also serving, his more intimate wife is also serving him in some way. So they are all together serving for the pleasure of the boss. So there cannot be any competition in between them. They try to help each other. So when we go more to this understanding that I am servant of Krishna, I am not here to enjoy, then that envy actually deep rooted inside goes actually. And while chanting, one should work on not just the physical or external aspects of chanting, but on the aspirations. What kind of aspirations I am developing? Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he says the Bhakti Lata beej has to be watered with Shravan and Kirtan, the chanting and the hearing, there are also weeds in that. So one has to be careful not to feed the weeds. Otherwise, in the name of chanting, by chanting we are actually putting water on the weeds. And then we think, अरे यार मैं इतना chanting कर रहा हूँ, लेकिन कुछ develop तो हो ही नहीं रहा मेरा सेवा भाव असली में. So सेवा भाव has to go. It will automatically go along with chanting very nicely. Like Okay, 4 things I will tell fast. The second C is company of devotees. So company of devotees, association of the like-minded, very advanced devotees, that will actually help boost up, because when you water the Bhakti Lata Beej, the other thing is that the Bhakti Lata Beej has to be put in a very nice fertile ground, and that ground is association of devotees. If you put it on a cement, खोद के उसमें डाल दिया तो उगेगा नहीं वहाँ पे. So भक्तों के संग में भक्ति लता जी अच्छी तरह ग्रो होगा. The third thing is very important is our own conscientious effort to actually save that Bhakti Lata Beach, because Chaitanya Guru says there are certain elephants or animals, those who may trample on your Bhakti Lata Beach when it is very small. So fence has to be there. The fence is your conscientious effort to save that Bhakti Lata Beach, in which the offense to devotees is the greatest danger actually, as Hatimata Prad also has been told. And from the so devotee should introspect. He should introspect that how my Bhakti Lata Beej is growing. So what I have to do to save it actually. Just like when this was a survey done for all the great people of the world, that what is common to all the great people of the world. So one thing was that they all know their limitations and then they work on it. This was common to all the leaders of the world. They give the philosophy of the mirror and the glass philosophy. Means when there is a success that comes to their life, they don't see the mirror, but they see the glass. Mirror means खुद को देखना, भाई सक्सेस मेरी वजह से है. Glass means they see outside through the glass to all the people and give credit to them. And when the failure comes, then they see the mirror कि मेरे अंदर गड़बड़ गया है इसलिए मैं. So a devotee, when he chants very nicely in association of devotees, then he gets to know. The fourth C is that causeless mercy. When all these three things are done very properly, you do nice Shravan Kirtan, association of devotees, and you safeguard it by your conscious efforts, then causeless mercy of Krishna will come. And causeless mercy of Krishna is like Krishna will first reveal you that you are envious, and then he will remove your envy. So revelation will happen first. Otherwise we will not get to know that. Sometimes when we hear all the examples of Shishupal and the Bhaktan, we will हाँ ये devotee भी envious है मेरे से, इसलिए ये devotee भी envious है. But actually, if we have to, if we are actually getting to know that we are envious, then it is great blessing of Krishna actually, because anarthas are there actually. So I will end with this, that in relationship with Krishna, we should not think that it will be very smooth. So Krishna, because he knows that with this envy he cannot love me, so Krishna will do everything to crush our envy and false pride. Just like in husband-wife case also, we were with one devotee and his wife on an online class, and then in class only they started fighting. So, and then when asked, so they were telling, ऐसा इसमें होता है ऐसा. Because when you want to love a person, then you have to deal with the ego of that person also. So you have to be, so clashes will be there, it's obvious. And the relation will become more sweeter when through that fight he becomes more humble, more loving and everything. So here Krishna also, when he starts loving us, then he will actually हमारे ego पे, हमारे envy पे pinch करेंगे Krishna. And till the time that is dissolved, the relationship will not become more loving and everything. So Krishna will do that. So Krishna will first reveal the envy and then he will rectify or remove the envy also. So this we learn from Vidura, as Prabhupada mentioned in the offenses thing also, that because Dhritarashtra was very envious, so he could not attain to that pure level. Because Dhritarashtra was quite envious of the Pandavas. So this envy, till the time it is removed, we cannot attain. We can become a good devotee, a liberated yogi, very sense controlled. But without the association of devotees, we will not be able to achieve Krishna Prem. That will not happen. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava ki jai.